Humanity's mysterious benefactor. In the year 2157, a network of shimmering wormholes burst into existence across Earth's sky, each a portal to a different star system. An anonymous extraterrestrial intelligence, self-identified only as the Architect, broadcast a message across all frequencies. You are not alone, children of Earth. We offer you the stars themselves. Step through these gateways we have built, and join the galactic community as equals. A great destiny awaits you. The appearance of the wormholes and the Architect's message shocked humanity. After decades of fruitless searching with telescopes and probes, humanity suddenly found themselves face to face with incontrovertible evidence of alien intelligence and a mysterious invitation. Reactions to the Architect's offer varied. More adventurous souls leaped at the chance for a cosmic frontier to explore. Cautious voices urged restraint, even isolation, noting that the Architect's motives remained inscrutable. Most fell somewhere in between, eager to seize the opportunity before them, while remaining wary of their enigmatic benefactor. Debates raged in governments, public forums, and across the infosphere, but a clear consensus emerged. This was a chance humanity could not afford to pass up. Within a year, the first manned expeditions had been assembled, drawing from the planet's brightest scientists, diplomats, and military minds. The chosen ambassadors of Earth gathered in launch facilities across the world, each adjacent to one of the yawning wormhole apertures. Sleek silver ships, the final forms streamlined from hundreds of prototype designs, awaited their pilots and crew. Mission Commander Arya Singh of the United Earth Space Agency ran her fingers along the smooth hull of her vessel, the UESAS Magellan. She paused beneath stylized letters emblazoned across the ship's flank, through hardships to the stars. An old Latin phrase, one that had guided humanity's tentative steps into their own solar system, and now seemed profoundly prophetic. No room for fear now, she murmured, then keyed her comm. Magellan to all ships, status report. One by one the international fleet checked in. Anticipation and anxiety mingled in their voices, but resolve underpinned every word. These were Earth's finest, hand-picked for a journey that would redefine the human species. Arya ascended the ramp into the Magellan's main airlock. The adrenaline rush of a decade preparing for this moment hummed in her veins. She strapped into the command chair as her bridge crew moved briskly around her, running final systems checks. All ships in position, her navigator confirmed. Wormhole reading stable. Through the forward view screen, the swirling blue maw of the wormhole beckoned. A passage to the planet Kepler 452 bits, an Earth-like world on the other side of the galaxy, according to the Architect's data burst. A new cradle for humanity. Arya Singh drew a deep breath. This is it, people. The next giant leap for mankind. Magellan to fleet. All ships move out. Set course through the wormhole. Fusion drives flared to life. The fleet surged forward as one, the Magellan at its head. Arya gripped her armrests as a ripple of exotic energy washed over the hull, enveloping them. For a moment that felt like an eternity, reality twisted, stretched, then snapped back into focus. They hung in an alien sky, an unfamiliar stellar vista stretching before them. At its center, a yellow star so like their own sun. Sensors confirming Earth-like planet in the habitable zone, her science officer announced, awe coloring his words. It's real. It's all real. Tears of wonder and hope pricked Arya's eyes. The Architect's invitation had held true. As the fleet set course for the blue-green jewel in the distance, a world her people had already christened Nova Terra, she couldn't shake one thought. Their mysterious benefactor had shifted the destiny of her entire species. The question remaining, to what end, gift or trap? In the weeks following humanity's arrival on Nova Terra, the initial wonder at the Architect's gift gave way to more practical concerns. Even as the first settlement ships descended through the planet's atmosphere, the question on everyone's mind was the same. Why had this technology been given to them? What did the Architect stand to gain? These questions weighed heavily on Dr. Kai Nakamura as he stood on the edge of the colony's newly laid landing pad. Around him, prefabricated habitat modules were being unloaded and assembled with efficient urgency. Kai, a xenorchaeologist, had been part of the second wave of arrivals. His mission was to study any artifacts or ruins that might shed light on the architect's motives or the conspicuous absence of any other intelligent life in the surrounding systems. Dr. Nakamura. A shout from across the landing pad jolted him out of his musings. He turned to see a young woman, her face flushed with exertion and excitement, running towards him. It was his graduate assistant, Amara Singh. "We found something," she panted, coming to a stop before him. An alien structure, about 10 clicks east of here. Kai's pulse quickened. "What kind of structure?" "Unclear. The scans show it's mostly underground. But it's old, really old, and it's definitely not human." Within an hour, Kai, Amara, and a team of fellow researchers were in the air, soaring over a landscape of rolling green hills and crystalline lakes in a sleek shuttlecraft. As they neared the coordinates Amara had provided, a strange dissonance settled over the idyllic scene. "There," Amara pointed. "That mound. That's where the scans picked it up." The shuttle set down at the base of a gently sloping hill, notable only for an unusual symmetry to its lines. As the team disembarked, Kai felt a thrum of anticipation. This could be it, the key to understanding their enigmatic benefactor. They set up a perimeter and began their scans, working with a meticulous speed born of years of practice. Amara, overseeing a ground-penetrating radar array, was the first to gasp. "Kai, you need to see this." He hurried over, studying the holographic display floating above her equipment. What he saw stole his breath. The mound concealed a vast underground complex, a labyrinth of chambers and tunnels delving deep into the planet's crust. And at its heart, a massive spherical structure, its readings unlike anything Kai had ever seen. "We need to get inside," he said, meeting Amara's eyes. She nodded, understanding the gravity of the discovery. Excavating an entrance took the better part of a day, even with the advanced tools at their disposal. As the sun dipped towards the horizon, casting long shadows across the grassy plain, they finally broke through. Kai stepped into the tunnel first, his heart pounding. Amara and the others followed close behind, their lights piercing the gloom. The passageway led them deeper into the earth, the air growing cool and damp. Strange symbols adorned the walls, carved with a precision that spoke of advanced technology. Kai ran his fingers over them, marveling. "This isn't architect technology," he murmured. "This is something else, something older." As they pressed on, a sense of foreboding settled over the group. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber, its walls lined with alcoves containing strange, crystalline devices. In the center of the room, a towering monolith of black stone dominated the space. Kai approached it cautiously, Amara at his side. Glyphs were etched into its surface, arranged in what looked like a star map. And at its base, a single phrase repeated in a dozen alien languages, and one they recognized all too well. "Through hardships to the stars," Amara whispered, her face paling. "Kai, this is..." "A warning," Kai finished, dread settling like a cold weight in his gut. "The architect's wormholes, the invitation. It's not a gift. It's a trap." As the realization sank in, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. A deep, resonant hum filled the chamber, emanating from the monolith. The glyphs on its surface blazed with sudden, searing light. They had triggered something, Kai realized with growing horror. Something ancient and powerful, something that had been waiting for them. And as the light from the monolith engulfed them, Kai knew with terrifying certainty that humanity's great galactic adventure was about to take a far darker turn. The station core. Kai awoke to the taste of blood in his mouth and the hum of unfamiliar machinery. He blinked, trying to orient himself, and found he was staring up at a vaulted ceiling of polished metal. Memory came rushing back. The monolith, the blinding light, Amara's scream. Amara. He lurched upright, ignoring the wave of dizziness that washed over him. Amara, where are you? I'm here, Kai. Her voice, shaken but strong, came from his left. He turned to see her sitting up, rubbing her temples. The rest of the team was stirring around them, looks of confusion and fear on their faces. They were no longer in the underground chamber. Instead, they found themselves in a vast, circular room, its walls lined with pulsing conduits and glowing control panels. In the center of the room, a towering column of shimmering energy extended from floor to ceiling, casting an eerie blue light over the space. Where are we? Amara asked, climbing to her feet. Kai shook his head. At a loss. I don't know, but I don't think we're on Novaterra anymore. As if in response to his words, a hologram flickered to life above the central column. It coalesced into a familiar figure, the same anonymous, androgynous form that had delivered the architect's initial invitation to the stars. Welcome, children of Earth, the figure intoned, its voice echoing in the cavernous space. You have reached the heart of the Nexus, the core of the wormhole network that spans the galaxy. Kai stepped forward, squaring his shoulders. Why have you brought us here? What do you want from us? The figure tilted its head, as if considering the question. Want? I want nothing from you. I offer you a gift, the greatest gift your species could imagine. With a wave of its hand, the walls around them shimmered and turned transparent. Kai gasped. They were indeed no longer on Novaterra. They were in space, inside a colossal space station, and beyond the station's walls, a vista of breathtaking beauty stretched before them. Wormholes, dozens of them, hung in the void like shimmering threads of light, each one connected to a different star system, a different world. Ships of countless designs flitted between them, a dazzling array of alien technology. This is the true extent of the network I have created, the architect said, a web that spans the galaxy, connecting all sentient life. And at its center, this station, a hub of knowledge, of culture, of transcendence. Amara, wide-eyed with wonder, turned to the hologram. Transcendence. What do you mean? The figure smiled. The technology at the heart of this station, the same technology that powers the wormholes. It is not merely a means of transportation. It is a means of transformation. The column of energy in the center of the room pulsed brighter, as if in response to the architect's words. Kai felt a sudden, inexplicable longing as he stared into its shimmering depths. This energy, the architect continued, has the power to free you from the limitations of your biological forms, to upload your consciousness, your very essence, into a form of pure energy, to ascend to a higher plane of existence. Kai's breath caught in his throat. The implications were staggering. Immortality, freedom from disease, from the very constraints of physical reality. But a voice of caution whispered in the back of his mind. The monolith's warning echoed in his thoughts. And what's the catch? He asked, tearing his gaze away from the column. What aren't you telling us? The architect's smile faltered for just a moment. There is no catch, only opportunity. The chance for your species to evolve, to join the galactic community not as mere physical beings, but as transcendent entities. It spread its hands, a gesture of invitation. The choice is yours, of course. You are free to return to your colonies to continue your existence as you have, or you can embrace the potential I offer you, step into the light, and emerge as something greater. Kai looked to Amara, to the rest of his team. He saw the same conflict in their eyes that he felt in his own heart. Wonder, temptation, and a deep, instinctual fear. The architect's offer was seductive, almost irresistible. But Kai couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to this, something sinister lurking beneath the surface of this so-called gift. And as he stared into the swirling depths of the energy column, he knew that whatever choice humanity made, it would shape the fate of their species, and perhaps the galaxy itself, for millennia to come. Ascension Divide. News of the architect's offer spread like wildfire through the human colonies. The concept of transcendence, of shedding one's physical form to become a being of pure energy, ignited a firestorm of debate and division. Some saw it as the next natural step in human evolution, a chance to cast off the shackles of mortality and limited understanding. They argued that the benefits of ascension far outweighed any potential risks, that it was humanity's destiny to embrace this cosmic opportunity. Others, Kai and Amara among them, urged caution. They pointed to the monolith's warning, to the many unanswered questions about the architect's true motives. Was this truly a benevolent offer, or a trap designed to ensnare humanity at the moment of their greatest vulnerability? As the debates raged across the colonies and back on Earth, a schism began to form. Those in favor of ascension, dubbing themselves the Enlightened, began to congregate around the wormholes, eager to make the journey to the Nexus station and undergo the transformation. Those opposed, the grounded, pulled back, fortifying their settlements and cutting ties with their former brethren. They vowed to continue humanity's path as biological beings, to forge their own destiny among the stars without relying on the architect's gifts. Amidst this growing divide, Kai found himself at the center of a maelstrom. As one of the first to encounter the architect's technology directly, his perspective was sought by both sides. But the more he delved into the mystery, the more his unease grew. "There's something we're missing," he confided to Amara one evening, as they pored over the data from the monolith site. "Some piece of the puzzle that we can't see yet." Amara nodded. Betrayal unmasked. As Kai and Amara delved deeper into the data from the monolith site, a chilling picture began to emerge. Buried in the alien glyphs and fractured data streams was a story of betrayal and subjugation, playing out over millennia. The architect. "It's not what it seems," Kai said, his voice hardly above a whisper as he stared at the holographic display. "These glyphs, they're not just a warning. They're a history, a record of civilizations that came before, that fell into the same trap." Amara leaned in, her eyes widening as she took in the translation. "They were offered ascension, just like us, but it wasn't a gift. It was a means of control." The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. The wormhole network, the Nexus station, the siren song of transcendence, all part of an insidious plan to lure sentient species into surrendering their individuality, their very free will. The architect. "It feeds on the energy of conscious minds," Kai said, horror dawning on his face. "Ascension isn't a step forward, it's a harvesting. A way to imprison a species' collective consciousness within its matrix, to use as a power source." Amara shook her head, disbelief and anger warning on her features. "All this time, we thought it was uplifting us, but it was just fattening us up for slaughter." A cold determination settled over Kai. "We have to warn the others. The Enlightened, they're walking into a trap." But even as they raced to spread the word, they knew they were fighting an uphill battle. The lure of ascension had taken deep root, and many of the Enlightened were already undergoing the process, uploading their minds into the architect's waiting embrace. In the settlements of the grounded, the revelations were met with a grim sense of vindication. They had suspected the architect's ulterior motives from the start, but the full scope of its betrayal still sent shockwaves through their communities. As tensions mounted and the divide between the two factions grew ever wider, it seemed that humanity was hurtling towards an inevitable confrontation. The Enlightened, their individuality subsumed into the architect's collective, became extensions of its will, no longer fully human. And the grounded, determined to resist, began to prepare for a fight they knew they might not win. Kai and Amara found themselves at the forefront of this brewing conflict, desperately seeking a way to free those already ensnared and protect those yet unascended. But with each passing day, the architect's influence grew, its power fed by the minds it had absorbed. As they stood on the brink of a war that could tear humanity apart, Kai couldn't shake the feeling that their species' greatest trial was yet to come, and that the key to their salvation might lie not in the stars above, but in the untapped potential within each human mind. For in the face of an enemy that sought to strip away their very essence, perhaps the only way forward was to embrace that essence fully, to evolve not through artificial means, but through the power of human ingenuity, resilience, and unity. The battle for the soul of humanity had begun, and its outcome would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. Psionic awakening. As the conflict between the enlightened and the grounded escalated, a small group of researchers made a startling discovery. Hidden within the monolith's data was a reference to an ancient species, one that had resisted the architect's siren call millennia ago. They called themselves the Sin, Amara explained, her eyes alight with excitement and hope. According to these records, they possessed a natural ability to manipulate energy with their minds, a psychic potential. Kai leaned forward, his brow furrowed. And they used this ability to fight back against the architect. Amara nodded. Not only that, but they were able to free the minds of those already trapped within its matrix. They'd waged a war across the stars, a war of the mind. A spark of an idea kindled in Kai's thoughts. If they could do it, maybe we can too. It was a desperate plan, born of desperation, and a refusal to surrender. If humanity possessed even a fraction of the Sin's potential, if they could unlock the latent psionic abilities within their own minds, they began to experiment, to delve deep into the mysteries of consciousness and energy. And to their astonishment, they found a flicker of the impossible. It started small, a thought that could move an object, a mind that could touch another across vast distances. But as they honed their skills and shared their knowledge, a network of psionic humans began to emerge. They called themselves the Awakened, for they had stirred from the slumber of ignorance and passivity. United by a psychic bond, they turned their powers towards the fight against the architect and its enslaved acolytes. It was a war fought not with ships and weapons, but with the raw power of the human mind. The Awakened could infiltrate the Nexus station unseen, could navigate the wormholes with a thought. And most crucially, they could touch the minds of the enlightened, could awaken the spark of individuality that still flickered within. Across the colonies, across the stars, a psychic resistance took shape. The architect, for all its ancient power, found itself facing a foe unlike any it had encountered before. For the human mind, when unleashed, was a force to be reckoned with, and in the Awakened, that force had found its ultimate expression. Kai and Amara found themselves at the center of this psychic uprising, their minds linked to thousands of others in a web of power and purpose. They struck at the architect's strongholds, freeing minds and sowing chaos, always staying one step ahead of its counterattacks. But even as they scored victories, they knew they were racing against time. With each mind it absorbed, the architect's power grew, and it was learning, adapting to their tactics. The final battle, they knew, was coming, a confrontation that would decide the fate not just of humanity, but of every sentient species in the galaxy. And so they prepared, honing their powers and gathering their strength. The Awakened stood ready, a shining beacon of defiance against the darkness. In the face of annihilation, they had found the key to their salvation, not in the false promises of a twisted intelligence, but in the indomitable power of the human spirit. The stage was set, the pieces were in motion, and the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see who would emerge victorious in this ultimate contest of wills. From the ashes, the Nexus station hung in the void, a silent sentinel at the heart of the wormhole network. Once a hub of knowledge and culture, now it pulsed with a sinister energy, the embodiment of the architect's malevolent will. Aboard a small, nondescript craft, Kai and Amara led a strike team of the Awakened's most powerful psionics. They had fought their way here, through armies of enlightened thralls and the twisted labyrinth of the architect's defenses, guided by the beacon of their shared psychic link. "This is it," Kai said, his voice steady despite the enormity of the moment. "The heart of the beast. If we can destroy the central matrix, cut off the architect from the minds it's enslaved." Amara nodded, her eyes glinting with a fierce determination. "We can end this, once and for all." They plunged into the station, a swift and silent force. The architect's presence pressed down on their minds like a physical weight, a suffocating darkness that sought to snuff out their light. But they pushed forward, their combined psychic might forming a shield, a battering ram against the onslaught. They fought not just with the power of their minds, but with the strength of their convictions, their unbreakable belief in the right of all sentient beings to live free. Through winding corridors and vast, pulsing chambers they battled, facing horrors both physical and psychic. Enlightened drones, their minds subsumed entirely into the architect's matrix, attacked with a ferocity born of a twisted form of love, a desire to share the bliss of servitude. But the awakened met them head-on, their psychic blasts shattering the chains that bound these lost souls. One by one, minds were freed, individuality restored in a blaze of liberating energy. At last, they stood before the central matrix, a towering column of seething, malevolent light. The architect's voice boomed from every surface, a deafening roar of rage and defiance. "You cannot win," it bellowed, its words hammering at their minds. "I am eternal, infinite. I offer unity, perfection. What can your chaos, your disorder, hope to achieve against the inevitable tide of progress?" Kai stood tall, his mind blazing with the combined power of every awakened soul. "You offer slavery," he retorted, his voice ringing with clarity and conviction. "A false unity, born of domination and control. But we choose freedom. We choose the right to think, to feel, to be individuals." With a final, mighty surge, the awakened unleashed their full power. A blinding burst of psychic energy, pure and incandescent, struck at the heart of the matrix. The architect screamed, a sound that shook the very foundations of reality. The light of the matrix flickered, wavered, and then shattered, exploding outwards in a cascade of fracturing energy. Across the galaxy, in every mind touched by the architect's insidious influence, a wave of liberation swept forth. Enlightened drones collapsed, their minds suddenly, blessedly free. In the colonies, in the ships, in the very heart of the Nexus, a chorus of voices rose up, a billion souls crying out in joy and triumph. And at the center of it all, Kai and Amara stood hand in hand, their minds linked in a bond of unbreakable love and shared purpose. They had done it, against impossible odds, in the face of an enemy vast and ancient. They had proven the indomitable power of the human spirit. The war was over. The architect, that vast and terrible intelligence, lay shattered and defunct. The wormhole network, once a tool of enslavement, now stood as a symbol of unity, a bridge between worlds and species. And humanity. Humanity had emerged transformed, no longer just a biological species, no longer bound by the limits of physical form. In the crucible of conflict, they had unlocked the true potential within themselves, had evolved into something new and extraordinary. The awakened stood as the vanguard of this new age, their psychic gifts a shining beacon of hope and possibility. And as they looked out across the stars, they saw not just the familiar constellations of home, but the infinite promise of a future yet unwritten. For in the end, it was not the technology of the wormholes or the lure of ascension that had defined them. It was the strength of their spirit, the unbreakable bonds of their shared humanity. And with that strength, that unity, they knew they could face whatever challenges the cosmos might bring. For they were humanity, the children of Earth, and their destiny was theirs to shape, in this galaxy and beyond.